Hey, Kyle is wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's MLW Fusion number 151 from June 30th, 2022. And this is Major League Wrestling, their weekly television show. They've had a lot going on lately. I wrote down just a little bit of recap to catch us up because it's been a pretty eventful last few weeks of MLW. They crowned their first ever featherweight champion, Taya Valkyrie. Alex Kane, as part of the Boombaye Fight Club, has thrown out an open challenge for $20,000. The Thrilla and Phila, and they said tonight on tonight's episode that will be next week. So that's something to look forward to next week. And then Jacob Fatu's been in three different storylines all at once, while also introducing us to a new character. So Jacob Fatu's been really busy. Last week, crazy. Go check out my review of last week. The main event was the Weapons of Mass Destruction match, the first ever in MLW, and that was between Jacob Fatu and Mads Kruger. This goes all the way back to Fatu being in Contra, then taking out Contra from within, and all kinds of craziness happened. We don't know what will happen to Mads Kruger after that match. He fell into some mysterious pit and looked like he might not even have survived it. But we do find out a little bit later that Mads Kruger at least has survived. He walked away from it. So we'll see where that goes. Also, Fatu, like I said, had two other storylines going on. One was Fatu along with his new associate, Juicy Fanoa, a 500-pound Tongan. They destroyed Cesar Duran's office a few weeks ago. And then also, I think it was just last week, the real one, Enzo Amore, found his sports car, scratched and thinks it was from Fatu's SUV. So a lot of storylines going there with Fatu. Meanwhile, Cesar Duran has his own problems. He wants to get rid of Microman, and I hope he does get rid of Microman. Any show that Microman's on wrestling puts the show down, and Microman is in. There's only two matches tonight, and usually these shows last about 45 to 55 minutes. This one lasted just over a half hour, and the main event featured Microman. So I mean, the rest of the show is pretty good, but I hope Cesar Duran is successful in his bid to rid the company of Microman. But from what I hear, Microman just came in and signed a pretty big contract for a couple years, I think. So that's not good news. Anyway, we've also got in 2 weeks, Hammerstone will defend the heavyweight title against Richard Holiday. And Richard Holiday did get a pin in a trios match not that long ago on Hammerstone with some cheating. So that's going to be a good one. And then we've got the Battle Riot a few weeks after that. So a lot of things have been happening, a lot of things to look forward to. Let's just get right into it. The opening of this show was probably my favorite part. So we see Jacob Fatu, he's got a table set up outside the arena in Philadelphia. It's like daytime. And we see that Fatu's trying to sell things to people walking down the street. And from the looks of it, it looks like things from Cesar Duran's office from when Fatu and Juicy ransacked the place. So now Juicy Fanoa and Lance and Anoa'i walk up to Fatu and ask what he's been doing. And like I said, Juicy is the new bodyguard friend of Fatu, a 500-pound Tongan. And Lance Anoa'i, of course, part of the Anoa'i family. Lance is Samu's son, and Afa is his grandpa. So Afa and Sika were the Wild Samoans. Sika is Roman Reigns' dad. Um, so it's Roman Reigns' like dad, but it's also um Lance Anoa'i's grandpa over here. So they actually share the same great grandparents, Fatu and Jacob Fatu and Lance Anoa'i share the same great grandparents. And if you don't know Fatu, his uncles are Umaga and Rikishi, so he's like direct cousins with the Usos. Anyway, Fatu says that because remember they had just come up and said, "What are you doing, Jake?" And they say, "Well, I'm just selling me and Juicy found in Cesar's office." So I was right about that. Then Fatu turns to the camera and welcomes us to the Polynesian Chop Shop, and they have a logo made up, which looked really cool and everything. So then it goes into like a QVC or a home shopping network type deal where they have graphics, and this was hilarious. First item for sale. So then they like try to sell us and on all these different items. So the first item for sale is EJ and Duca's chain. They're selling it for $450, and they list it as this chain is not a gift from Cesar and is 100% genuine imitation platinum. So the next one item up for bid is Calvin Tanksman's towel for $150. It contains sweat from over 6 matches. It's never been washed, and you can save 25% if you purchase it with EJ's chain. So that was pretty funny. Next is Microman's mask for $300, but it's actually like the size of a billiards ball, like this small. And then it's match worn. It fits most micro size heads, and the micro boom deal is not included. And then it's Cesar's office fan for $200. They say it works about 60% of the time, contains dust from Cesar's office, and goes well with Tankman's towel. And then Fatu is about to tell us about the Red Bull figurine from Cesar's office, but then an SUV pulls up. Out comes Cesar Duran and Los Aztecas, and Cesar says that he's called the police. Fatu says, yeah, right. We all know that you don't like the police. You didn't call them. And Fatu says, Juicy and Lance aren't just here for a free ride. So Cesar says, all right, well, then those two are going to fight Los Aztecas later. And the 3 Polynesians laugh and they make fun of Los Aztecas as not being a threat. And Cesar takes his Red Bull figurine back and leaves. So that'll be the other match. So we have 2 matches tonight. And it was already announced last week that the other one was going to be Strange Sangre versus Lince, Dorado, Microman, and Taya Valkyrie. So those are our 2 matches tonight. Really, really good opening. That lasted about 3 or 4 minutes, that whole Polynesian chop shop stuff. And it was really funny. Our announcers, as usual, Joe Dombrowski and Rich Boccaccini. And Rich is formerly known as Rich Brennan on NXT. And Joe is actually one of the bookers and writers of this show as well. So they recap last week's wild main event I was telling you about, that Weapons of Mass Destruction, where Jacob Fatu, at one point early on in the match, got dropped right on his head through a table, like slipped. Mads Kruger slipped, let him, like, couldn't maintain the grip on a power bomb off the apron through a table. That looked pretty nasty. Thankfully, especially because Jay got Jacob Fatu in like 3 different storylines here. Thankfully didn't get injured on that. So as far as I know, that might have been the main event of this taping, and everything else was taped. So, but he did finish the match and looked fine. As far as getting dropped on your head from the apron can be. Hopefully the table broke the fall a little bit, and that's why he's all right. Anyway, now we see some exclusive footage from right after the Weapons of Mass Destruction. And if you remember, I was thinking, well, is Mads going to be like, is this character written off now? Is he gone? But no, we see Mads Kruger limping away. We just see him from behind. Remember, Jacob Fatu took the mask off him and then strangely licked it, which is totally disgusting, especially if that mask has been worn for months. But anyway, we see Jacob, Fatu, Juicy, and Lance Anawahi arrive to the arena. And Fatu's showing them on something on the phone, so we don't know what that's all about. But it will be their match next. It's Cesar Duran out first, and he's got Los Aztecas with him. And there's 3 of them. There's one really tall one who's not going to be in the match, and then the 2 that are in the match, or at least cagematch.com lists them as Cinco and Uno. So Cinco and Uno will be in this match. Cesar gets a mic and says, tonight, the most violent lucha team ever. They are from the barrio. They fought on the streets. Then Jacob Fatu's music hits. Fatu comes out alone. He's got a microphone. He pumps up the crowd a little bit and says Cesar can't take down his family. Then Fatu would like to introduce the new Samoan SWAT team. Lance Anawahi and Juicy Fanoa come out. The big cheers. Anawahi, or Lance's dad, Samu, was part of the original Samoan SWAT team. I think the original version was with Rikishi, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it was the Tongan kid. But if it was the Tongan kid, who wasn't really Tongan, he was just Samoan. But no, they wouldn't have put a guy named Tongan kid in Samoan SWAT team. So I'm not quite sure. We'll have to look that one up. But Lance Anawahi and Juicy come out. The big cheers. As soon as the bell rings, Lance picks up one of the Aztecas for a Samoan drop while drop kicking the other. The very first move of the match, and that was really cool looking. Jacob Fatu is on commentary for this match. Then Juicy comes in with his belly sticking out. He definitely needs to get a new some new gear without the belly sticking out of the end of the shirt. And they've got both Aztecas down as we go to an ad break. When we come back, Juicy hits the big hip attack into the corner, on a Wahi family style. Although Tony Storm seems like she might be part of the family because she might have the best version of that hip attack in the corner today. And like I said, Juicy needs some new gear. Cesar then gets on the microphone and says, "Sorry, the card is subject to change. It will now be a no disqualification match." Immediately, that third Aztecas, the very tall one, runs in the ring with a chair. And before he can do anything, Juicy catches the tall guy with a splash in the corner. And then Lance hits a coast to coast, like RVD or Shane McMahon style, and then hits both of them with a Samoan drop. Lance then goes up top and hits the Uso splash for the win. Oh, Juicy lift up both men. So that Juicy did a pretty sweet move at the end there. He lifted both Aztecas up at the same time and hit them both with a small drop at the same time. Then Lance comes off with the Uso splash for the win. The Aztecas didn't even get one bit of offense in. So the Polynesian chop shop was um, rightfully laughing when Cesar said that's who they were fighting. They didn't take him as a threat, and they didn't even get one move in. Not even the big tall guy that came in with a chair. He didn't even get one move in. So that's kind of funny, but a nothing match because of it. But I like all the stuff we've been seeing out of Samoan SWAT team and Jacob here. And Jacob is celebrating at the announce test, and then all of a sudden, the real one, Enzo, smashes a bottle over Fatu's head. The real one then slips twice, once on trying to hop the barricade, and once when he lands on the ground. But then he yells in the face of Fatu and runs away before Juicy and Lance can get to him. And there's fake blood, extremely fake looking blood everywhere. So if you remember, I was talking about how real one, we don't know if it was actually Jacob Fatu that scratched his sports car, but real one thinks it is. So that was enough justification for him to come out and attack him and start a fight with three big Polynesians. So we'll see what real one's plan is here as we go forward. We see a little clip of earlier in the week, Myron Reed training with Team Ambition. That's Davey Richards' training facility, or like at least that he's part of in St. Louis. And they train for like MMA and wrestling and stuff. Then we get a recap of Los Maximos, the SAT, the Spanish announce team last week, and their return match. They're MLW originals. They've been around for 20 years, especially in the Philly area where they're at right now. And so we get a recap of that. And then they were calling out the tag champs. And remember also, I think it was Tankman that got attacked in the back last week. But then Los Maximos are now in the back, and they say that they want a title shot and that they run things around here in Philly. We've been around here for 20 years, so looks like that might be something we get in the future here. Then we get that same Killer Cross vignette with Scarlett in it as well, where he just says TikTok. So any day now, Killer Cross will be back. And then we get a really good video. It's Richard Holiday talking about how the clothes can make the man, but the most important part is the color. And recently I've been into the color red. Then the camera pans out and it shows that Holiday is wearing a white suit that's now blood stained or we see it's blood stained when we panned out. And then Holiday says, "This is your blood, Hammerstone." And it's funny, the color of red, you can almost taste it. And I'm addicted to the taste. And then it's opened my eyes, given me new life. All is clear now. I belong in the light. So really weird promo from Richard Holiday here. And he's like, "Now I am here and I will never leave. I am the sole proprietor of the dynasty, and it was always me." So the former dynasty teammates colliding here. I could definitely see Holiday winning the title. It would have to be probably by cheating means, but Holiday just got a pinfall victory over Hammerstone by cheating a few weeks ago. So when we come back from that video, the announcers hyped the title match. It's on July 14th, so not next week, but the week after that. It'll be Hammerstone versus Richard Holiday, and that will mark the end of this season, the season finale. So pretty soon after that, we'll have our 41-man battle riot. And the winner of that is basically gets like the Money in the Bank contract where they can cash in a title match anytime for a year. We get an injury update on Fatu. Remember, he just got taken out with that bottle from behind by the real one, Enzo. And they say he has a really deep cut and is under concussion protocol. So maybe Fatu is going to be gone for a little bit here. And then we see Myron Reed in the back, and he's talking to Davey Richards. Myron says, "Thanks for the training." And Davey's like, "Yeah, all the guys liked you. You have to come back soon." And Davey says, "Well, maybe it'll be you versus me for the middleweight title soon." And Myron now looks upset. Remember, he got asked last week by the announcers what he thought of fighting maybe Davey Richards next, and Myron stormed away. And Myron looks upset again, and Davey sees it, so he says, "We'll think about it." And then Davey Richards leaves. So that's definitely what they're setting up. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the storyline, but I'm sure Davey will screw him over at some point here. And then this is when we're told next week will be Alex Keynes, and the Boombaye Fight Club presents the Thrilla in Philly, or Thrilla in Phila, which I said wrong on last week's podcast, but Phila just is a hard thing to say. Anyway, it's time for our main event. So, because Microman's in it, it's not great. So, Strange Sangre's terrible music starts, and it is just pure noise vomit. It's just random noises happening. And so, it's going to be Mini Abysmal Negro, Holodead, and R-Rez and Trios action. And then Gangrel and Dr. Dax are out there with them. Lince Dorado comes out to like Shark Boy sounding music, and his is pretty bad too. Taya Valkyrie out now. She's got her new featherweight title. Her music's pretty annoying, so just not great music in this match. Maybe I'm just already agitated because I know Microman's in it. But anyway, to Taya gets big cheers, but to me, she's always a heel no matter what she does, because I can't stand her. So she's just a permanent heel to me. And I can't stand Microman either, so I'm definitely rooting for Strange Sangre. And Holodead's bodysuit is something you have to see for sure. Just a quick note there. And I don't get a Mini Abysmal Negro either. He's basically Rey Mysterio's height, and he's pretty much the same size as Holodead. But we go to an ad break like right away. Nothing much happens. And they do play an ad for the Ric Flair's last match. And I think MLW is sending some people to that event. Maybe that's why they're advertising it here. And when we come back, Lince hits a super hard chop on Arez's chest. That was pretty nasty. Then we get some fast-paced lucha action, but of course it doesn't last nearly long enough. Mini Abysmo tags in. They hit a double team move on Lince. Arez then grabs Microman, and Mini Abysmo super kicks his head off. Then Lince hits a double handspring cutter. That was probably the move of the match. Microman then hits a move on Arez and Mini Abysmo. And I'm tired of this, watching other people having to hit moves on themselves or like lift Microman into position. It's just, it kills whatever show I'm watching, Dad. For me personally, maybe you're a fan of Microman, but Holiday then kicks Microman in the face, which was hilarious. Taya runs in to take down Holiday. Then Taya fires up the crowd. Micro's now running away from all of Strange Sangre. Again, really super fake looking because all of them would be like 3 times faster than Microman. But then this next spot was cool. So it shows you I'm not just all against fun things in wrestling, because Microman goes under the ring. Mini Abysmal goes to grab him and pull him out, but he pulls out Blue Meanie instead, and the Philly crowd goes crazy. So all of a sudden, Blue Meanie's here. He takes out Arez and Mini Abysmal, and then Microman hits a crossbody, and we go to ad break, where they again had a commercial for the Ric Flair last match. When we come back, it's Lince and Arez in the ring again, just like the break we had before this. Lince takes out Arez, and then we're told next week it's going to be Lince Dorado versus Real One Enzo. And I didn't look it. I was going to look it up before I got in the air, but that had to have been a match on 205 Live at some point. But anyway, big brawl on the outside now. But everybody except Microman and Mini Abysmal Negro are in the ring. Microman gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. Right after the match, Arez then jumps Lince, who was celebrating with Microman. Holiday and Taya are brawling, like they brawled to the back or something. And then the rest of Strange Sangre takes out Microman. I was liking this. Gangrel's holding a sickle, so it looked like we were about to see the end of Microman. But holy crap, Enter Sandman starts to play, and the Philly crowd goes crazy. And out, of course, comes the legendary, the Sandman. Wow, he's got a whole case of beer and he's taking his sweet time. He's giving beers to the crowd. He doesn't care about saving Microman. Of course, Sandman's holding on to a Singapore cane. And I love Sandman, but he definitely looks like a middle school baseball coach who also teaches history. And about 2 minutes, no, legitimately 2 minutes pass before he finally gets in the ring to save Microman after celebrating with the beers. And everyone gets cane shots while Enter Sandman still blasts over the PA system. So a little bit of ECW nostalgia here in the Philly crowd. Microman has a little mini cane as well. And I'm like begging, I'm like, please, Sandman, cane Microman right in the face to end the show, please. But of course, he didn't. Instead, Sandman pulls out a little tiny micro beer, but Microman wants a big beer. So Sandman gives him a big beer and leaves. And Microman doesn't even have a mouth hole on his mask. So good thing the show just ends at that point. And man, why couldn't we just have Sandman cane Microman? The crowd would have loved it. But yeah, next week we've got Lince Dorado versus Real One Enzo. And I'm not sure if they hyped any other matches, but we've also got the whole Real One just took out Fatu. So we're probably going to see, if Fatu's out with an injury, we'll see Juicy and Lance. I don't know why he come and take out Real One in that match. Oh yeah, we've also, don't forget, the Alex Kane Boom by 8 Fight Club presents Thrilla and Philla. It will be for the title, but it will also be, if you can last 20 minutes, you get $20,000 of Boom by 8 Fight Club's money. And we'll, of course, probably maybe get some more news about Mads Kruger in the next couple of weeks. And in 2 weeks' time, it's the big heavyweight title match, Holiday versus Hammerstone. So some good things going on. This episode was super short. It definitely could have used another match anywhere, but it is what it is. Just a short episode this week. And the main event is definitely skippable, but if you're an ECW guy, you would want to see the Sandman come out and the Blue Meanie stuff. So a few things for the nostalgia. Oh yeah, and Myron Reed and Davey Richards are definitely going to be fighting for the middleweight title at some point. And they don't really know how many they haven't really established anybody else for Taya to fight. So I'm guessing Taya is going to have her first title defense against Holiday in a rematch. Other than that, it looks like oh yeah, and the SATs, Los Maximos, want the tag titles. So we've got that on the horizon as well. And then the Battle Riot, where we start the new season, and we'll kind of get some new storylines going on and some other stuff. I'm sure we might see the reformation of, or some kind of new version at least, of Contra with Mads Kruger and whoever those two masked men were. So a lot to look forward to. I'm going to get going. I'll talk to you guys again soon. I'll be on for reviews, all kinds of reviews tonight. We've got SmackDown, Rampage, Level Up, and Impact Wrestling's Against All Odds. So I'll be here for all of those tonight, and tomorrow night I'll be here for Money in the Bank. So everyone have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon. Peace.